Hello there, guys. I want to talk about Eclipse on Ribbon. Is it really good? Is it really bad? What's up with Eclipse on Ribbon? So the notable thing about it that it's cheap, right? But is it really good? So, for example, we see a dummy here. Um, I'm gonna basic attack W. We're gonna proc Eclipse, right? So we have 320, and of course, once the damage number updates, we can visually see that we got actually 85 extra damage, right? Now you get this every 6 seconds. The weird thing about Eclipse is that sometimes you may not get too much value out of it. Just because in comparison to Ravenous Hydra, now I know that there is a price diffy, Gaby. There's a price diffy there, right? That's a fair thing to say. It does actually cost 500 more gold, but there are different allowances. For example, it has the same AD. It provides 12 life steal, which is actually not really bad because you do have some extra AD and even more AD from your kit, right? So the healing is actually super nice as an example. Notably, you also have a Conqueror that also amps the damage of Ravenous Hydra. So for example, if I were to buy Ravenous Hydra per now, and I would sell Eclipse if I would go for this, I would generally recommend this more so if you're ahead. I would say on even curves it may feel to be better to have Eclipse. But I would say if you're ahead, I would rather recommend the Ravenous Hydrate. Allows you to shove waves faster, get those plates in no time, get those crabs, get those crags in no time. The components are also different, but we're gonna get down to that as well. So I would say if you're ahead, generally speaking, Ravenous is gonna be your thing, because even so, you get a shield from Eclipse, right? Like you do get a shield, but it doesn't really makes up. It doesn't really makes up for the healing from Ravenous Hydra. So you do get a 200 I mean 192 amount of shield, right? Now notably Ravenous is less frequent on the activatable, but it's better because it's healing and it's not a shield. So for example, let's just like turn on the minions, right? Speed things a teensy bit up, maybe remove the dummy actually, right? And so we can take some tower shots, of course, right? And so there's like one thing you can do. You can cleave a wave and you can heal quite nicely. So that was 149 and I didn't even hit the whole wave. I didn't have, of course, Auron for extra healing and Conqueror stacked. So that's a notable thing, right? Now, what if you stack up Conqueror and what if you have R? How much do you heal, right? I just stack up that Conqueror in no time, right? Let's say I hypothetically press R, right? That's a lot of healing. That's a lot of healing, right? Now, the other notable thing is that the activatable does hurt actually quite hard. It does hurt 335, of course. If you have R, if you have Conqueror, you definitely deal a lot of damage on the activatable itself. So I would rather recommend it to you guys to use it once you actually stack it up, the Conqueror itself. With your abilities, because this has, for example, 100% AD scaling on the activatable, but your Q, as an example, only has 70%. Notably, your W has 100% as well. But generally speaking, it's best if you use your Ravenous as a last resource, because you kind of like don't want to initiate with it in your upfront combo, because like you want your HP to be a teensy bit, you want your HP to be a bit damaged, and then you want to use it, preferably into the wave, into the enemy champion. So you get a really nice amount of AoE healing value, sort of, right? So for example, even without Conqueror, if you were to go in, your healing would be quite nice, right? And your auto healing is also super nice, because as you can visually see, when we get a lots of amount of bonus damage, right? We do have our passive, we do have our Conqueror, we do have our R. We actually heal really nicely of that 12% lifesteal, which is super nice. So for that purpose as well, not only for, of course, wave clearing purposes, because the thing is, you get to keep more more abilities up, right? With Ravenous Hydra. So basically that allows you to play more safely into potential ganks as well. But also notably, the other good thing about like Ravenous Hydra is its build path. So you are at a short range actually with your abilities. You can see like short range, right? And so the good thing about Tiamat that it's a bit longer range, right? Now if you go back to Tiamat only and not Ravenous, that's also quite decently. It's longer range than your QW, right? So what does that allow you to do? There are matchups where people have bomb plating, and that's where often like you don't want to walk into a Garen perhaps or some champion with bomb plating. You would rather just AoE proc it the bomb plating of them with Tiamat. And this also gives you like a conqueror stacking opportunity in lane, right, which is kind of nice to have. Plus, of course, you get some cleave damage of minions, which just occasionally helps, but it's more so for easier proxies, perhaps. It's more so about like securing void grabs a bit more smoothly, especially in matchups where I said you're gonna be generally ahead. Because, for example, if I pull these grabs, we can visually see I deal quite a lot of AoE damage, right? We can see that this does some work, it does some work the activatable, it does some work um, the passive effect, once you're doing this with your jungler, of course, and there will be 2 rotations of grabs, so that's why it will be a favorable thing. And as I said, if you're dominant in matchup, generally speaking, when you're dominant in your matchup, it's easier to like perhaps look to proxy if you cannot dive your opponent or do something in lane. And it's a teensy bit easier, of course, to like steal these camps, really quick. Go to the next one, perhaps, if you access the raptors, and you can wipe the raptors as well in no time once you finish Ravenous Hydra. So it's super easy to also like at most just to spare your HP as well, because like generally speaking, you won't really lose too much amount of HP because of the healing itself, right? Like you will you will not lose much. You will not lose much healing, right? Like you will be at most full HP. So that's kind of like the good thing about proxies as well. Because compared to Eclipse, now with Eclipse you will lose some degree of HP, which sometimes sucks. I would say it doesn't always suck. It could sometimes suck, because then you lose HP, and sometimes you could get maybe collapsed on. So I think these are the general advantages of Ravenous. I would just say don't really overdo Eclipse. Now I know some people would say, but you could go Profane Hydra, and so if you go Profane Hydra, you cannot go Ravenous Hydra, right? Because this is a bit more bursty. That's true. It's a bit more bursty. But I still would generally like a little more actually Hydra on Ribbon, just because of the buff healing, the synergy she has with the item. She has synergy, of course, with Profane Hydra as well, but your healing can be super nice actually if you go Thunder Sky. Right, so your healing can be super nice once you go Standard Sky, so this is also kind of like good into like a bit more durable champions as well, where your fight's gonna be general. As you see, like we deal a lot of damage, of course. Standard Sky is a generic item on this champion, and we deal lots of crit damage, right? Like look at this crit, right? That's like super good, and your passive can of course crit, right? And that's just great. It's just a really good healing oriented build. So I wouldn't like underrate at all, like I wouldn't underrate at all, this Ravenous Hydra, because the more and more you go into the game, of course, the more valuable it will eventually become. You could get any type of items depending on what do you value, like you can go for anything really that serves your champion in your current matchup, It really depends on the game, but I want to showcase let's say like we are max level, we also have war, we have everything up, and I wanna just show you guys like how hard you can actually heal off a wave even later on sort of in the game, or off multiple champions as a hypothetical thing. So in here I won't even use Aura or Conqueror Sex, I will just use this item 436, right? Now what if we are in a, let's say 1v2 or let's say 1v2 or 1v3 scenario, right? So for example, ideally you wanna stack your Conqueror, ideally, right? In here, we're gonna stack our Conqueror. And we're gonna press R, right? And your healing gonna be 154 from one single champion. Gonna be even more, of course, if you hit a wave. But generally speaking, like when it comes down to champions, you're gonna heal 389, right? That just takes some damage again. And we can see that you can see that the healing can be quite nice against 3 targets, right? 458. Right? And even so the basic attacks, right? Like, even so the basic attack heals super nicely. Now I know that I use Thunder Sky, But even so, like with a lots of amount of AD, you're gonna heal a lot with that lifesteal. Now, I think that's it for now, guys. I just really wanted to point out that Ravenous can be a little bit underrated, under the radar of people, but I would really consider to go for it over Eclipse if you're ahead, I would say, because it really gives you like a lot more carry potential than going for Eclipse, because like Eclipse scaling wise is not as good as Sojin, I would say, or some other items like perhaps Black Cleaver, and I just like I don't think so it's that bad. It's just like I don't know, like I don't personally like the item that much, to be honest to you guys. But that's it for now, guys. Make sure to leave a comment and say your own opinion, of course, about this Ravenous Hydra, and definitely we can have some type of discussion about it. So that's it for now, guys. Have a nice day.